Hi, welcome back to the FERRETS NEST podcast. My name is Jackson. I'm your host. I'm the host of the Ferret system as well. And I have a very important and special guest on today's episode, especially because you live in Rhode Island now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just doxed you a little bit. This is my older sibling, Sid. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Sid, he, they. I am the host of the Strawberry Patch system.
We inherited DID.
It runs in the family. And yeah, I'm here visiting for the holidays for the first time in 4 years. This is my first time back in my hometown in 4 years. Almost exactly.
Almost
4
exactly.
years in like a month. It's kind of
really?
weird. Yeah, because we left in November, like mid-November.
Oh shit, yeah,
2019.
you did. You totally did.
Well, we left the house in like May, June, I think.
But we
left the country.
The country.
We left
I'm
the
not editing
state
that out. I'm not editing it out.
in November of
Right.
2019.
Fun.
Yeah.
Just blur your knee.
Oh God, fuck. I don't condone. I don't.
I see it in the camera. I'm like, oosh.
I got this when I was still a really big Harry Potter fan and
Runs in the family
didn't
as
know what J.K. Rowling believed in and how ingrained in her work it was, and I am getting it covered up.
What are you getting it covered with?
I drew up this really cool, bare tree with, the elemental colors around it and some,
sick.
leaves falling off, so it's
So,
gonna,
what Dad has
well, it's
on his
gonna
back.
pop out of the triangle and cover up the circle completely.
Fun.
Hopefully, we're gonna try to make it not recognizable.
Yeah.
essentially. I'm gonna work closely with a tattoo artist in my area, and we're gonna get it done.
Sick. So, on this podcast, we talk about the effects of DID. We talk about DID in general because, system. And we talk about, our experiences, what differs from system to system, because that's something I haven't really gotten to explore yet, because
and also we have two very different system setups.
Which is interesting.
The two... when people who don't have DID and who aren't in the know about it think about DID, there's, one of two possible options. There's, the small handful of mostly to all non-people or characters in media or real life.
Which is called a fictive.
Fictive or factive.
Or
depending
factive.
on, fiction or...
is the blanket term.
Yeah. And then there's the system with, a cajillion alters, and majority of them are fictives and factives, and introducts of all kinds. We encompass both ends of that spectrum.
Yes, we
which
do.
is really funny to me.
Honestly, I feel like I don't know all of your trauma, and I feel like you kind of keep that from me for a reason.
Yeah.
And same with me is I feel like I've given you tidbits of information, but I don't know everything about your trauma. But I think it's interesting that obviously systems differ system to system.
Yeah.
But also how trauma affects each system and what. And our different growing up experiences, how you were not the youngest and I was, and you were kind of the middleist for a while.
I was the middle, and I had the most behavioral issues out of everyone, and that was saying a lot considering the older siblings. But, refused, treatment for a very long time for those behavioral issues. Once I finally got treatment and finally stopped with the behavioral issues, it was too late, and the damage was already done so badly that, I pretty much only had one option, and it was to leave. Start over.
Which, honestly, you seem a lot happier than I remember you being. Obviously there's still some hurdles, but I feel like you leaving our town was definitely a big step for you to be happier.
It took a long time to figure that out. I still kind of partially feel like it was a curse.
That's fair.
But I have figured out what I want and what I'm willing to do to get that, and how I'm starting to put myself first more. Which is definitely making me happier. Overall, my general well-being is well above what it was when I was still living under this roof. The depression, anxiety questionnaires that you receive, for therapy. I would score really, really, really high on those. Almost the highest on every option all the time, because I was just It's not great.
Me
But
too.
now, like, thinking about it, I would probably score in the, like, 1 or 2 for most of them, and 3 for, like, a few of them.
Right.
And that's kind of big. It's kind of huge.
It is kind of huge. I had that same issue where I was scoring like the biggest option or second biggest option for every single one. It got to the point where my therapist was like, I know I can just assume, but I have to legally ask you. And then she would start saying the question. I'd be like, yep. Next question, yep. Next one, yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I feel like I've also gotten a lot better. And I've gotten to the point where, like, when she gives me those questionnaires at the beginning of each, like, session, I'm like, maybe in the middle or third highest rather than right at the top there.
Yeah, well, you've also done some really big things for yourself in the past few years as well, which
Like
is
getting a proper diagnosis.
proper diagnoses, also top surgery. That's
Top
huge.
surgery, massive.
Testosterone as well, and you're at a school that's better equipped to handle your needs than public education of
They're
our
still
time.
not great at it, but it's so much better than public school.
Yeah, and I feel like with all of those, you're really setting yourself up for, like, a good start in traditional adult life.
Yeah, that's fair. That all being said, I would like to move on to our first question.
Okay.
What is it like being a system, and what is it like having a sibling who's also a system?
Being a system is kind of weird, mildly annoying,
No way,
and
really?
sometimes scary. More often than not, it's just annoying, and sometimes the people that live in my brain rent-free, they're really funny. I can overhear them having interactions, because, like, my inner world is set up like just a big house, and fronting is this one seat in the living room, and if you want a Coke-Con, you just sit on one of the other couches or on the floor, and you watch the real life on the TV. It's pretty fun.
That's
so, like,
also interesting because it's similarly set up for me. What?
I love it.
So the way that fronting works for us is that there's a big fronting room. It looks kind of like a hotel lobby almost, but just smaller. And there's couches lining the sides, and then there's a love seat, a couch, and a love seat, and then between each of the love seats and the couches, there's doors, and then one of them leads to a little, we call it his break room because sometimes he gets, he got my people pleaser-ness as, like, a baby, so he tends to try to help people way too much, and then it overwhelms him. So that's his break room. And then we have...
Is that Echo?
No, that's Otter.
Oh, Otter's break room.
Love Otter.
Otter's so valid.
Otter is so real. And then there's Danny's little bedroom. He never goes to his actual bedroom, but you walk in, and there's a little bench with a desk and, like, headphones on hooks. I explain it like the inside-out control panel, and then this, like, big screen. And then if you put a headset on, it's got it's like a gamer headset with a little microphone. If you put that on, you're fronting, and then if you want to co-front, you can put a headset on.
Yeah, I often refer to it similarly as, like, being the only player in multiplayer in, like, a one-player video game.
Right.
Where, like, if you're fronting, you have the controller, and you're in, like, the main seat where you can see the screen really well, and you can hear everything that's going on, and you got the mic and whatnot. Pretty interesting that they're pretty similar setups.
Right. Especially with the screen being the real world is really
also,
fun.
Can I just say, Inside Out was kind of huge in, like, not just for just general neurodivergent people, me too, but for, like, people who are systems, because it gave us a way to explain to singlets kind of how it is.
Without the harmful stereotypes of, like, Split or Mr. Robot is better but still not great, and like Moon Knight objectively was a great show. I'm a huge Marvel fan. That's my hyperfixation. I'm surprised I haven't split a Mark Alter or like a Steven. But it's still like there were some bits of that were a little iffy, which brings me to my next question. What are your...
Oh, I never finished the first one, though.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, go.
Having a sibling that also has DID was really funny because we both found out, like, not like found out, but like put all the pieces together around the same time. Like, you told me, and then a few weeks later, after my partners at the time had been talking to me about this, because I was like, what? That sounds familiar. Like, I don't know, that sounds pretty similar to what I'm going through. They were like, yeah, I think it might be possible. You just kind of gotta let it happen and stop putting up that blockade. And
I did that?
No, my partner's at the
Okay,
time.
I'm like...
And when I did that, like, 3 other people popped up, and they're like, yeah.
It was time.
And then I told you, and you were like, both of us?
Yeah, and then I feel really bad, but I had a huge bit there where I was like, you're faking it. There's no way that both of us have it. And you told me after I had already told you, and like, it was also at the time when I was in a really, like, not great fucking place in my life in general. Like, I was in a very abusive relationship with a singlet who would abuse his power with the system. His name was Kai, by the way. Stereotype.
Yeah.
Transmask stereotype. His name was Kai. He hated systems. He drew furry porn. But, like, feral, so that's not okay. Regular is, like, I'll give it a pass, but yeah, it was difficult, because I remember talking to Mom about it and being like, I'm mad at Sid for faking DID, and she was like, whoa, man.
Yeah.
Let's not jump to conclusions here.
Yeah.
I also might have DID.
Yeah. When both of us, like, put all the pieces together, she started reevaluating her mental health, like, as a whole.
Right.
She, like, went into therapy more, got on more meds to fix everything, got on the correct meds, not just more, but, like, fixed what she was taking to make it actually be effective.
Right.
And she has gotten better with just being a human being in our lives.
I don't know, I have a lot of mixed feelings about Mom. And I know that that's, like, I don't know, I feel weird talking about it, especially because I know that she likes to keep her life on the internet very, like, open and shut. Like, this is my name, that's all you get. But, yeah, it's interesting having not just, like, a parent in your life like how she is, which I'm trying really hard to keep kind of vague, but it's hard having a mother figure who's like that, especially with the trauma that I went through, because it's like, I can't blame you for my trauma, but I still feel like you're at fault for it because you did nothing to stop it. Does that make sense?
That's how we felt about Jade for a very long time.
And that's also how I feel about him still. And I'm like, it's a lot.
But yeah, it's funny having a little sibling also part of a system. We talk about stuff sometimes. I like to ask you questions occasionally about, like, what being a bigger system is like with a bunch of victims, because we currently only have 1 or 2. I'm hesitant to say 2, because we only recently found out that one of them is just kind of like an aged up version of a character.
Right.
And we're still, like, iffy on if they really are or not, because, like, her memories are kind of vague. But,
that's fair.
Yeah, so most of the people that live in the brain are, like, not from media at all.
They're just brain made.
They're just there.
Right. They're just there. Yeah, that checks out. It's also interesting, like, we both have very similar mental situations in that way. Like, obviously the DID, but also, like, ADHD and autism. So, seeing how
Holy trifecta.
Yeah, seeing how that affected each of our systems so differently is really interesting. How you have, like, this kind of small little circle living in your little head house, and I have, like, 3 apartment buildings and a bar in my head, and D-Luke from Genshin Impact runs a bar, and it's like, it's so weird, because I'll hyper-focus on these characters, and then I'll have, like, a really bad manic episode, and because of the complex DID, which is the diagnosis that I have, it's complex dissociative identity disorder. Basically, it just means that there's so much going on. I split easier, I switch easier, like, people have so many different triggers. Even songs can trigger certain people out, which can be the case for smaller systems too. But
it definitely is for ours, with specific songs.
Especially the case with bigger systems. It's hard to navigate, but it's interesting seeing how like the littlest like minor inconvenience can be blown out of proportion because of the BPD, and then that will cause a split or a mass switching, or like something wild will happen in head.
Yeah.
Speaking of fictives, segue. What is your how do I word anything?
Also, yes, I am vaping nicotine.
It's okay. You're quitting.
In the new year. It's actually happening. It's been like 6 months in the works. I have people keeping me to it.
I'm so proud of you. I hope you know that I've been holding myself from sticking my pinky in your ear this whole time. They have gauges.
You get 1 free pass during the video.
Okay, fine. What is some of the media that you have ingested that, even if it's not canonically DID, you feel has the right vibe for it? Obviously, Inside Out is one. And I want to talk about a short film after I talk to you that really did the right thing with DID. They did a lot of research, and I think one of the directors had a mom with DID.
Saw you posting about it.
I want to
watch it. I want to watch it.
We should watch it after film break. It's very good.
Excellent.
But yeah, what are some like pieces of media that you think portrayed DID really well versus really shitty? And the trick, you can't mention Split. That's my only rule.
fucking hate Split.
No, I know,
So-
but like if you're trying to find shit media about DID, Split
That's
is
where
such
you
a
go.
giveaway. So you have to find something else.
Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol. It is a DC Universe comic made into a TV show about this like ragtag bunch of mutants who end up saving the world. It's very X-Men, but DC. And
Bless
not
you.
the X-Men. There is this one character who's called Crazy Jane to everyone outside of, like, the little circle. Her name is just Jane, but she has DID. She has, like, complex DID, where she's, like, got a lot going on. There's a bunch of people in her head. And
Are you for real?
sure, because of, like, the experimentation that was done on her, all of her alters have superpowers of some sort. And you can physically see the changes to the body that happen when different alters, like, front. Like, there's one with, like, neck tattoos and, like, dirty eyeliner. Then there's one who's, like, made out of blue flames. It's fucking sick. And the kid ones, like, it's so good, and nobody in the show demonizes her. Like, the main character of the show was this, like, hot-shot NASCAR driver who was a millionaire and was cheating on his wife with the nanny, and then he died because he was drunk.
Tony
and
Stark coded.
he gets turned into a robot, essentially. He gets uploaded into a tin can, and he takes a liking to Jane, like in a fatherly way, because he sees a lot of his daughter, who was like 7 or 8, in Jane. He's very much projecting, but also it's valid because she does have littles. And he takes the effort to learn about DID and what it is to have DID, and he takes the time to learn about Jane to understand her and her system better. And eventually, he sees some of the inner world because they let him in. And the way that they portray everything is just so brilliant. And that's what really, like, made me explore our inner world and figure out exactly what it looked like, because for a while all I could really see was just like the living room area and like my room. And I knew that like everyone else had their own spaces because they weren't really there, but like seeing their portrayal of the inner world and like people interacting, people's houses, people's rooms was just like, I could probably figure out what these people's rooms look like if I just like sat there for long enough.
Sat there and just
dissociated into the corner.
That's
like
me.
A cat.
Me when I...
Yeah. But Doom Patrol, I highly recommend it. It's a silly at times, but like really heartfelt at other times show. It's got a really silly plot, and all of the characters are really good, but Jane is by far my favorite DID representation, and she, like, canonically is diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder.
Okay, cool. So it's not just like,
no, like, it's
funny.
Canon. It's it's written into the canon. They use those words.
Scooch closer.
They use those words. Good. It's good. Please watch it. I believe it's on HBO Max. I could be wrong.
HBO Max isn't HBO Max anymore. It's just Max, and I hate it too. I literally hate it so much.
Forgetting. Everybody knows what I mean.
The color is better. I like the color better.
Everybody knows what I mean when I say HBO Max.
I mean when I max.
Okay, what is the next question?
The next question.
Finish that one now.
But you didn't say your bad media. What is some like bad representation that you've seen?
I don't know. I don't watch a lot of new media.
I don't either. I know about things.
I feel like this might be a stretch. Howl's Moving Castle, where he has, like, the monster form that doesn't really remember his human form, and the human form that doesn't really remember being the monster form. Right. I just hate the human monster, like Jekyll and Hyde.
Right, that's one that I hate,
that's the vibe
honestly.
that I don't really like. Like, don't get me wrong, it could be fun writing my own take on it as somebody with DID, but most of these people don't and haven't researched it, don't even know what it is, don't even care.
Right, they are just like, wouldn't it be funny if multiple bitches lived in the sky? Haha.
And I want to put this statement out there, this public service announcement. I love Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh,
it is number 2 of 5 of my top 5 Ghibli films. It is a masterpiece of self-love and acceptance, and it is beautiful. I can also have...
You can critique the things you love.
Exactly.
I critique you all the time. Love you. Yeah. No, I don't. I'm lying.
He's just difficult.
I'm just the youngest sibling. I think my favorite piece of media is also my least favorite, and it's Moon Knight. Because on one hand, they do so well portraying, like, how DID comes to be, how he went through this, like, horrific abuse by his mother and then created this altar out of, like, thin air because of this abuse to shield him from it. But on the other hand, when they're first talking about it, they act like it's a possession. Which icked me. And then also the switching that they do. I don't know if you've seen the show.
I've seen nothing.
Okay. Basically, I'm gonna act it out really quick. When he's switching, he goes... like he's having a seizure, and then he blacks out. The way that it sounds feels right, but the way that it looks does not. Like, they do the thing where, you know, when you're in a crowded cafeteria and you go woo with your ears, it's like that, but it's like the audio is glitching, and it's like, that's really interesting. And I think that take on, you know, switching is interesting. And also, I think that they did a really good job of the memory gaps, like, oh shit, I'm late for this date, it's almost 2 p.m, I have to go. It's a week later, I've missed my date, and I stood her up and I didn't know, and I've changed myself to my bed because I don't know where I'm going at night. Like, stuff like that. And then also, once he's aware of the other alter and they're kind of still coexisting in that body, there's still another part that they haven't talked to yet. That's Jake. They haven't spoken to this other alter, they don't know he exists, and they're having memory gaps now, and the second season is kind of that's what the second season is probably, like, getting set up about, is how there's this third alter, because the whole Moon Knight system, I'm just gonna info dump about this now. The whole Moon Knight system is that the thing is that the Egyptian god, I forget his name, decides that this is gonna be his, like, proxy, for lack of a better word.
Okay.
So when an Egyptian god chooses you to be their proxy, you gain powers and abilities based off of what this god can do, so that you can help this god do whatever the fuck they decide that you want. So each alter in Steven's system has a different suit. So when he powers up his suit, everyone's suit looks different, which I think is really interesting. And also, Steven is British, Mark is not. Which I also find really interesting, because I'm not British. and I can't really do a British accent very well.
We can do the fun, exaggerated one.
We can do the really fun, exaggerated one, but it's not great. And then when a British alter fronts, like, for example, I'm going to say, like, Loki, who's fictive of Loki from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when he fronts, he does this very posh accent that I can't even do, which I'm, like, very jealous of, because, hey, man, that's my body.
Yeah.
But it's this weird toss-up of, like, you get so many things right, but you also you're just barely clinging on to it.
Yeah, you're, like, 5 inches away from the bullseye.
Yeah, literally, you're, like, you're right on par.
The mark.
You're adjacent, you're right there, but you're just there, you know?
Yeah, you haven't made it yet.
Yeah, and then my favorite piece of media right now is this short film, which I urge you guys to pause right now and go watch it. Go look it up it's not on YouTube yet, just look it up in just regular browser. It's called Petals of a Rose. It's beautiful, and it was made by somebody who I believe is a system, I think, and then their mother had a system, and they made this really beautiful short film portraying, like, pretty much exactly what it feels like to be a system. And obviously each system is different, but it's wonderful. And there are 2 versions. There's one that shows kind of, I don't want to say half-assed imagery, but, like, not all the way...
Not fully developed.
Like, it's not in-depth imagery of the childhood trauma the character faces. And then there's one with that edited out if you're uncomfortable seeing something like childhood trauma that is sexual in nature. So that is edited out if you don't want to see that. It's really wonderful. Definitely go show support to the creators even if you don't watch it. I reposted it on my Instagram story. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that's probably my favorite piece of media. I showed it to Jen recently, and she was like, "That's really interesting," because she knows about the DID. I told her, and she told Greg, and then we're working. I'm kind of building up the confidence to tell Anwin.
You're valid.
But yeah, very good short film. I am, not to tease anything, but I may or may not be writing a script for my own DID short film, which I haven't told you about yet.
I've also thought about doing something similar. Right. But I don't like writing scripts. I have to write one for my comic, and I don't want to.
I don't like writing scripts. I like writing stories. So what I do is that I write the, like, story laid out as a book, and then I give it to, like, Danny, and he writes the script, or, like, Ten writes the script, or I make Mark do it, you know?
Yeah, I love writing so much. Yeah, anyway, continue. You don't
writing
change the
is
subject.
very fun.
I'm gonna keep talking.
My next little question. I love that we're segueing so easily between things. Like, sometimes it's like we segue right into the next question. Other times I'm like dead silence for a couple seconds. So anyways, what are some things that are different and the same with having friends that are singlets versus having friends that are systems?
Well, I have, not including you and your system, I have one friend who is a system, and I'm in a server with another person who is pretty cool, who is also the host of a system. And I don't know. It's pretty nice to have something like that in common, where I know we won't be judged or, like, taken advantage of in any way for having this disorder. But it's kind of a lot because I'm not a very social person. I get very, like, socialed out very quickly. Over the summer, we were going to, like, an event a week, and I was feeling so burnt out by my birthday. I didn't have lots of fun at my birthday party. I had a pretty miserable weekend, and a pretty miserable few weeks after that, because I was just like, so much going on, talking to so many people, and when there's one body with multiple people in it that, like, I do enjoy talking to, I can't just ignore them.
That's a lot.
And I love them, but I also don't have a lot of spoons to talk to people all the time. And with singlets, like, Tori and Jesse, my partner and my best friend, they are great, and they are very understanding, and they, like, just kind of go with it a lot of the time, and they ask some really good questions, but I know, like, at the end of the day, they don't understand the way another system would. And it doesn't feel bad, but it also, like, it's just kind of there, you know? Mm-hmm. It's just, like, it happens. I'm not too upset about it. They're different in, like, relatability, but otherwise, they're pretty similar, I'd say.
That's fair.
I don't know.
Speaking of you, how has your trauma and your DID affected your current adult life and, like, how you go about doing things? Are there moments where you're, like, out at a grocery store and you suddenly, like, are back at home? Stuff like that. And obviously, don't go into detail if you're not comfortable with it.
Okay.
But.
Yeah, for a while there was, like, a year-long-ish period where my living situation was not great, and there was somebody in my space who was pretty awful, and I'd be forced to go with them on errands and whatnot, and, like, 1 minute I'd be getting ready, and the next minute dinner's being made, and I have no idea what happened, and it's been almost 10 hours, and other times, like, I'm, like, begging, like, please, I don't want to be here, could somebody, like, take over, and it's like,
nah,
I'm okay.
Crickets.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And with all of the crazy life stuff that's been going on, like, this year alone, like, 2023 alone, it's very stressful. And oftentimes I feel like a soda bottle that's been shaken for, like, 3 minutes. And, my system isn't being very helpful about existence. Yeah, I definitely say the trauma has taken root, but it is also, as I like to call it, trauma season from November through late February. There's just a slew of traumatic events that have given me a long-lasting trauma I have still not recovered from. So, like, it's kind of hard to tell what's the trauma, what is the, like, anniversary effect, and what is the DID when it comes to navigating difficult situations, difficult feelings, difficult triggers that we still haven't really figured out how to, like, cope with and work through. It's weird. It's hard.
It's hard.
It's pretty hard. I am the result of a split that happened in, like, early 2021, I want to say. There were some really, really bad things going on, and one day, the old host went to bed. Metaphorically, we were in the middle of a card game, actually. And then the next minute, I was here, and I didn't know what anything was, and I had to relearn everything. So navigating that, and the trauma associated with that I have, has also been really hard, in also just, like, being the host of a system. It's all just a bunch of hodgepodge mumbo-jumbo.
Hodgepodge mumbo-jumbo.
I'm 6 years older than him, by the way.
I'm a baby. Yeah, sometimes you act like a 17-year-old.
It's because there is a 17-year-old in my brain, but he's the most emotionally mature out of all of us.
That really do be how it
He got me into therapy twice.
Thanks, buddy.
Set me up a new email with my new name.
Thanks, buddy.
Helped me get a job.
Thanks, buddy. That's
frequently fronts at work.
honestly how I feel about Otter. Like, obviously he doesn't do a lot out here, because when he's out here, he's like, I just want to watch Bluey and cuddle stuffed animals, and I'm a 4-year-old. But when he, like, when you, like, have a sit-down conversation with him, it's like, it's weird how mature he is. And it makes me kind of sad, because, like, this 4-year-old child is so emotionally mature because of the trauma that I went through, that I'm like, I know my trauma wasn't my fault, but it is my fault that you exist, kind of. And I'm like, I traumatized you in a way. It's like authors writing their characters to be super traumatized, except those characters are real people that you can have conversations with.
Me, I'm the author writing the traumatized characters.
Same.
I feel like it's a matter of time until the OCs become fictives. Because there's two that I, like, constantly think about, and, like, they're just...
Right. That's so true, real
I
and
can
valid.
info dump about it when you ask me about anything I want to plug. Also, I am wearing pants. They're boxers and shorts on top of my underwear. I'm not, like, naked. You can't see it because my
Dick
sweater
out.
is huge. Yeah, sorry about my massive schlong all over
Massive.
the camera.
Massive. Can you tell we're siblings? I can't.
Don't call the cops.
Yeah, you're an adult. Fuck you.
This is an abuse.
Yes, it is. Call 911 right now. Do you want to talk about this tattoo?
Not particularly.
Do you want to talk about any of them?
I guess.
Mostly just because I'm interested.
I'll talk about this one.
God damn it.
I just got this one done in October for my birthday. It's Madoka and Homura from Puella Magi Madoka Magica. It's an anime that I'm obsessed with thoroughly.
Autism.
Very autism, okay?
We get it from our dad.
It's great. It's like 12 episodes, and then there's 3 movies and some side series, but the main show is like where it's at. It's really good. It's really heartfelt. It's really emotional and deep and kind of a lot. So like major character death warning for that show.
You look at it and you're like, "Aw, cute magical girl show." Oh God.
Yeah, by episode 12 you've been in tears for about a week.
Me normally.
Yeah. I've just kind of got a lot of random bullshit on my body because for a while I was using tattooing myself as a method to stop self-harming because I was like really like addicted to it, like genuinely. A lot of people don't realize that, but yes, it is an addiction, and I am like 10 months clean now.
I was gonna clap really loud and then I realized
That's
that would
okay.
clip the mic.
That's okay, it's also a little late.
It is.
But, yeah, so a lot of it's just kind of like random hodgepodge. Like, I've got my body, my art all over the tops of my knees. Ugly on the skin, lovely from within, which I didn't realize were Diane word lyrics, so don't come for me. I didn't know they were Diane word lyrics for like 2 fucking years after the tattoo was already on my body. I do have, like, art from my friends and my own art on my body. I tried really hard to do original designs only and not copy things, like, dot for dot from other people.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's an original piece by me. I have the original sketch somewhere. It's just prayer hands, but I want to get I wanted to color the beads in originally, but can't do that. Yeah, I have a bunch more planned. Don't really want to do any more myself. I'm kind of tired.
Skill issue.
I'll happily do them for other people, but I don't want to tattoo myself anymore. You have to be 18.
God damn it.
Yeah. I started this when I was like 13, 14, which is why I'm so adamant about not giving him tattoos or condoning the at-home tattoos until you're 18.
Dang nabbit.
You're so close to 18.
I know.
You can't complain too
Literally
much.
a couple months.
Literally a couple of months.
That's so weird.
Sorry for doxing you.
It's fine. I dox myself. They know my age. I'm a 17-year-old boy. Inside and out. Except for sometimes I'm 20. Make that make sense?
If you can't do math, that makes me 23.
What are some stories you have about your system that either you find funny or you have like, you know, like something that you could explain DID with, like a funny story to tell someone who's new to learning about it, shit like that?
I have a funny story, and I think I might also have a funny story that, like, I could tell to singlets who are interested about learning.
By the way,
sure.
Singlet is someone who does not have DID.
Yes. So my funny story is we have an alter named Honey. He is like, ex-military. He was sort of like a spy, what are the... mercenary? I think that's the word I'm looking for. Anyway, he was on, like, a team of people, and, one day, while in the bad home environment that I was talking about previously, we were really into Minecraft, like, dissociating into Minecraft all day, and we were working on this castle. Like, halfway through planning the floor, Honey fronts for the first time ever, and doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And he's just trying to play it cool, you know, not freak out. So he's building the rest of the floor plan and starting to build some walls, and he has no idea what we were going for. And then later, he, like, stops playing. He starts writing some, like, journal entries, which he gave me permission to read, so that I could, like, get more info on him without having to actually talk to him, because he's even more introverted than I am. He is so fascinating. He knows Arnold, and Arnold knows him. And we cannot figure out how that happened. But, yeah. They go back because Arnold is also he's also an ex-mercenary. He used to do that, and that's why he was our main
Protector?
No. The mean one.
Persecutor.
Yes!
The mean one!
I'm so sorry to all persecutors out there watching this.
I'm not. Fuck you.
Arnold was the mean persecutor, like the stereotypical mean persecutor. And that's why he was like that for a while, because he had a lot of standards we just weren't living up to. But he's chilled out significantly. Meeting Honey has really, like, sped that up and also helped Honey kind of get settled in the house. They ate chicken nuggets for the first time, and they were pretty weirded out to start with. They had a lot of new experiences with us because they had to have, like, the army haircut. They had to wear the same clothes. They were all the same shade of camo. Like, they weren't allowed any decorations, no tattoos, no colored hair. And then they start fronting in our body, covered in tattoos, bright, colorful hair at all times.
Piercings.
Yeah. And it's just such a new experience for them. And it took them a while to adjust. And then they, it wasn't quite dormancy because they'd, like, check in every once in a while, but they, like, locked themselves in their room for a long time. And they're just a silly little guy. And most of the funny stories we have are about them or about Ollie, one of the littles in our system, just, like, existing as a little kid in an adult person's body. I have another funny story.
Do tell.
The only, like, certified fictive that we have is Copia from the band Ghost. I was closing at work over the summer, and all of a sudden, I hear him talking in my head about, like, where the hell am I? Like, what's going on? Where's my office? Why is this set up the way it is?
Just why?
And I was like,
that's a new
okay,
voice.
I'm just gonna ignore that because I'm closing and I want to clock out on time so I can go do my errands and get home. And he just kept commentating on what was going on outside, and I kept, like, giggling, like, oh my god, what the hell? And eventually Tori's like, what's up? And I was like, Copia's in my brain now. And we just burst out laughing in their mom's driveway. He's tried to front at my retail job numerous times with zero retail experience. Man's only worked an office job where he signed paperwork all day and, like, occasionally walked around the grounds of his church, and, like, that was it. To wanting to sell paint to people.
Me when I paint.
Honestly, we have let him front at work, and he does pretty okay. I feel like he'd do better in the mixing department, but yeah. And, like, a funny story, or, like, something to kind of, like, help explain DID to other people, it would be heavily based on the inside-out metaphor, definitely. Yeah, so some really bad things happened to me in my super formative years, where my brain was, like, mega in formation, and not enough developed to prevent it, I guess. Or it was just, like, really bad stuff. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But sometimes really, really bad things happen to children, and their brains can't cope with it. And they have just people in their brain that help take care of them and keep them safe as they navigate their life in society that has hurt them before. Like, we didn't know we had DID till we were, like, 19, 20. But there's people who know from, like, a very young age. Even younger than you were when you realized. But yeah, like, there's teenagers who are realizing something's up because of the things that they had to endure as a smaller person.
That, and also the new... The way that systems are putting themselves out onto the internet, being like, these are my experiences,
yeah.
this is what I'm experiencing, that helped me figure out that I had DID. Like, I probably wouldn't even known at this point that I am a system if it wasn't for the DID systems on, like, TikTok and on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, I figured out my system because of a YouTuber who had DID, and I was watching all of her videos. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I don't know, I can relate to that. That's weird. Haha, funny. And then I told my therapist, like, the next day, and she was like, so about that, I've already met your protector. And I'm like,
yeah.
Huh?
No, but, like, those content creators on social media, they're really, like, out here doing some really good work, a lot of them, on, like, putting out better information on this stuff, even if it is just, like, their own view and take on it, because every system is different, and every person who's a host or involved in a system will react differently to things involving being a system. But it's really good that there's so many people out there who are part of a system who are willing to put that on the internet for other people to see. So while it didn't help me figure out I had DID, it figured out how much it was affecting me and how much I didn't realize up until I was told, hey, you have this. And I know because I've met them, just like with you, but, like, yeah, those content creators are really pulling a lot of weight with that, and I really applaud all of them. I don't really have any personal favorites at the moment, because I only really caught them while I was on TikTok, but I'm no longer really on social media. So,
can't relate.
I haven't been on TikTok since late 2020.
Fair. Go follow the A System on TikTok. They're wonderful people. They're a great system. They do system content. I will link their TikTok in the description below. They are wonderful, and I think we're mutuals, which is sick because they're, like, kind of super popular. It's, like, not a big deal. It's, like,
also,
awesome.
Like and subscribe if you are enjoying this content.
Thank you. Love this guy. Oh, that was a thumbs down, but okay.
No, it's not,
no,
loser.
It's an I love you, bitch. I do this. I do the middle finger. My next question for you is about me. How many alters do you know of in my system? And then, separate question, how many have you met and spoken to and, like, had a full conversation with?
I have your notifications on Simply Plural. So, I see a lot of names popping up. I did have a little giggle when I saw Auntie Front one day. I was like, oh my god, because Tori and I had literally just been talking about Auntie like 30 minutes earlier. Okay. It was just really funny timing. So I see a lot of names popping up in the, like, fronting notifications, but I think I've only actually met a handful of them. I can't remember all of their names. I know I've met Otter. I know I've met James. I know I've met Dean. I think that's 5, including you. I'm not really good with names, especially because you all have the same face on the outside.
Our mannerisms are very different, though.
Yes, but I don't spend in-person time with you because
I'm
in a different
autistic.
state. Yeah, jot that down, too.
Yeah. Oh my god, dog. Being autistic is, it's a journey, but it's also like being friends with other systems. I won't notice when they start disassociating or if a new person is fronting, unless their voice drastically changes. And then I'm like, are you doing an impression of this alter, or are you that alter? Like, I've asked my friend that. I've been like, are you Mochi or are you not? Like, is this like what's going on here?
Yeah,
It's a little silly goofy.
yeah. But I also know you've got Mark, you've got Auntie, you've got James.
James said that's so quiet.
Sorry.
Like mumbled.
I
James.
do really apologize for thinking
It's okay.
bleeping.
No. We're gonna explain it. They thought that James, in my system, Protector, who is a Bucky Barnes fictive, was James Potter from the Harry Potter series.
Listen, a lot of Marauder stuff comes across my Tumblr dash, not because
You
of
look
my
like
choice.
you're on Tumblr.
You know I'm on.
I know, but you just look like you're on Tumblr. Like, I would look at you as a stranger and be like, that motherfucker's on Tumblr.
Yeah, I've been on and off Tumblr since 2013, 2012. Definitely did some damage.
So, what did you say? Otter, Auntie, Mark, James, Dean. James Dean. JD.
I know you have a buggy fictive too.
Unfortunately.
Which made me giggle when
He's
I
an
found
asshole.
out.
I actually despise him so much. He's like kind of hot, but I hate him so much.
I've heard you bring up some other names, but again, I'm really bad with names, so I can't recall any of them.
Fair.
Like, watching one of your other podcast episodes, you've mentioned a handful of them a few times.
What, like Danny and Ten
And Ryan.
and Ryan, white boy Ryan, Athena.
I'm trying to remember the Sims world you showed me.
Ernie.
Yes!
Ernie from the Muppets. Yeah. New addition to the system. Yeah. Love him.
Yeah, that's
Such
all I
a
can
male
really
wife.
remember.
Lyric.
Mm-hmm.
Kaya.
Wasn't Lyric one of the originals?
No. Lyric is a fusion / integration of two My Hero Academia fictives. Shinzo and Jiro.
That's funny.
The two purple-haired insomniacs.
That's funny.
They were like, fuck it, we are one.
I remember some of your early system art that you were doing. Not, like, very clearly, but I remember that there was, like, at least 20 people there.
Yeah. Vaughn is still there.
Cool.
Flick is not. Flick integrated with a bunch of other alters, and now they're Cypress. And she uses, like, she, they, bunch of neo-pronouns that relate to, like, nature and
Hell
fae.
yeah.
Love that for them. 10 out of 10 human being. _ human being. What is your... I don't want to say take, but what is your knowledge of, like, how... There's not really a good way to say this, but, like, some systems will have alters that present as a different race, ethnicity, gender, like, different existence than the body, and I want to know what you know about that kind of thing and what you can say to systems who believe in shit like alter race.
I don't know a whole lot about it. I do know that if you're white, doing any sort of, like, trying to change your skin color, even if it's, like, an alter doing it, can still be seen as problematic to singlets who don't understand what's going on. So that can be kind of dangerous for those people, and my heart goes out to them in those situations. We don't have anybody who's a different race. So I wouldn't really have any personal experience on the matter, but I'm not really somebody who jumps quick to judgment anymore, especially about these things that are so vast and vague. It's really just keep yourself safe, make sure you're not doing something that could get you hurt or in any sort of trouble of any kind, and be considerate, like, to the other people in the communities.
That's fair.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I have something important to say.
Yes.
What are some moments with knowing my system that have stood out? Like, even if it's just over text, even if it's just something you've kind of observed, what is something that has stood out to you with my system?
How quickly you switch.
Definitely.
It, like, I'll get a Simply Plural notification, and then 5 minutes later get 2 more because 2 other people are now fronting. Then, like, 3 minutes will go by, and there's even more people, and I'm just like, oh my god, are you okay?
No.
And
Never.
sometimes I'll ask, like, hey, y'all,
Hey,
what's up?
What? Hey, man. Huh?
Like, anything drastic going on? Like,
No, we're just at the grocery store. That happens so much.
I'll text you semi-often and be like, yo, you good? And you guys are just like, we're just chilling. It just kind of be like that. But, like, there haven't been a whole lot of interactions with, like, you and your other system members that, like, really stand out to me, because we don't talk as much in the recent years as we used to.
Mm-hmm.
We were both in, like, really bad places, also in pretty iffy relationships, and it was just really hard to be there for you and also support me and my system.
Right.
Was going through a lot of stuff at the same time. And I do feel bad about that, but at the same time, I feel like you were probably better off for not having me involved for that period of time. I'm gonna be real.
our formative years. Formative system years.
There's a handful of people that, like, I do enjoy talking to when they come out. Like, Otter, I enjoy talking to that kid. He's
such
pretty
a
fun.
little guy.
He and Ollie need to have a play date pretty bad.
They do. Jen said that she would babysit Otter if he ever wanted to go over.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where I was going with my thoughts. Thanks.
You're welcome. I'm using my free pass.
I can't remember what I was talking about.
Cry about it, nerd.
I do.
Okay. I like when I forget about something, I'll text someone to be like, sorry, I forgot to respond. I have poor memory, and then in parentheses, it's a disorder. I use that all the time. I think it's
I was
hilarious.
talking about interactions with your system. I've talked to Dean a handful of times, and
How's that?
I honestly loved it. He's a really funny guy.
He's a riot.
I'm such a Supernatural fan. Like, love Dean, love Sam. Supernatural will always hold a special place in my heart, even if they did go severely downhill after season 7. 7 is where
Hot
it
take.
really started to, like, stop being good.
I'm
like,
gonna get so many hate comments.
4 to 7, it was kind of iffy, and I was really hoping that they'd turn it around, but after 7, it was clear that it wasn't. And then season 10 hit, and it was just a dumpster fire until they finally ended it. And I will continue to say this till the day I die. I don't want my favorite shows to end up like Supernatural ever again. I don't want that. Please just kill it when it's dead. Please stop resurrecting
beating
it.
the dead horse.
Stop beating the dead horse. Stop.
Such a terrible, terrible phrase. I don't know why people say
Stop
it.
beating the dead horse and expecting it to run. I don't think that's the actual phrase, but that's what it means. Like, you're beating it trying to get it to move again.
But it's dead.
But it's dead, and
It's
it's not going to.
You're kicking a corpse.
Yeah. James has, like, we talked once or twice the week before my trip, because, like, there was just a lot of late communication going on, and it was really stressful for both of us. And you were also visiting your boyfriend, and you were trying to enjoy that time while also, like, both of us having to last minute figure some of this shit out. Right. Like, crunch time, like, 4 days before the trip, had to replan half of it. It was crazy. And James fronted at one point being like, I understand it's a really stressful time, but, like, you guys are gonna be okay, you're gonna get through it, you just gotta, like, take a breather. It's gonna be okay!
He needs to take his own advice sometimes. Like, they will start, like, randomly planning things and, like, overwhelm himself out of nowhere, and I'm like, so what do you say to other people when they do this? And he's like, Step back and you'll be fine.
Right? But yeah, those are the only people that I really have, like, memories of their interactions because we've interacted so much, or it was recent and, like, impactful enough. No
I feel
offense,
like...
I promise.
I feel like you've talked to Flick before she integrated.
I definitely did.
Because she was very there. She was just, like, this big...
Little fairy.
Little fae. Mm-hmm. Love her.
Yeah,
lesbian
I
fae
do
creature.
remember that. Lucy was around at the time. Lucy and Val integrated into Val. Val is still Val.
Val
Lucy
is still
just,
Val.
They just kind of into Val. Lucy, after getting out of the nasty relationship, Lucy didn't feel like she was really needed anymore for her, like, sexual protector services. And her and Val have always been, like, peas in a pod. So, like, becoming a fusion, essentially, was, like, next step for them.
Step. It's so interesting, because first of all, you said Lucy, and I immediately was like, I had an alter named Lucy. and then you talked about Val, and I was like, oh, in your system. But we've integrated so much, and we still have well over 100 alters.
Yeah.
And it's insane and very frustrating. And it, like, I keep having these moments where I'm talking to my therapist, I'm like, I feel like we're getting nowhere because every time we integrate down to a smaller head count, we just keep fucking splitting. So
is your goal to be as singlet as possible?
No. The goal is just to be smaller.
Okay.
Like 20 to 30 maximum. Like, we're at, like, 170-something last head count, which was a while ago.
Yeah.
Like, smaller. Just smaller. Because I find a lot of comfort in the system, and I definitely think that I wouldn't be able to keep myself safe without them.
Yeah.
So, having them there, as long as it is less of them, I feel like is very helpful.
Yeah.
And I talked to my therapist, God bless her heart, love her, where she was like, let's try to get to the root of the issue instead of trying to attack it from the sides. So we're starting from the middle and branching out, where we're working with each individual alter right now, which is going to take so long, and trying to figure out why they feel that they're still needed, and then let them kind of integrate with others, and we're going to kind of branch out that way.
Right on. I know that there's some systems out there whose goal is for, like, total integration.
Right, and, like, good for you.
That's so scary to me.
Is.
I also find a lot of comfort in my system.
And we're just so used to it at this point that it's like, if it's not there, I'm going to freak
out. It would
out.
feel a little weird. Like, my brain currently, because it's seasonal depression and also trauma season on top of that, like, my brain's a little empty, and everybody else is also going through it in my brain, because we all have that disorder. So, like, it's really quiet in my brain most of the time these days, and it feels very lonely, and it makes me have a lot of existential dread being, like, totally alone. So having at least some people in my brain to keep me company, like, we watch TV together, we'll watch YouTube together, we'll do art together, we'll just kind of body double a lot, and that's how, like, I am able to just kind of do things. Like, my partner Tori is a singlet, and they don't understand how I'm just able to do things a lot of the time. And it's because I have people in my brain who will body double for me, and who will, like, help out and, like, front when needed to help get, like, shit done. And I could not imagine having to do all of that by myself.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, all I've personally known is being a system. I was not the original host, and I only have their memories, and I don't have their lived experience, but I paraded around as mine because I don't know what else to do.
Fair.
It feels weird, like, making the differential all the time between, like, Kaylin, the last host, and me, Sid, because, like, I have all of the memories. I have, not, like, all of them, but, like, I have most of them. All of the important ones, at least. I wasn't there. It's like the dissociation stereotype of, like, oh, it's like third person view and like cameras like floating up behind you, and you're just, that's how my memories are. That's how every single memory for me is before the split happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so much more organized than any of my past episodes. This is going incredibly well.
Because I was excited. I've never been on a podcast before.
Well,
I'm
welcome.
especially not one to talk about DID stuff.
Yeah, it honestly, this started out as me just wanting to fucking talk about it. Like, I wanted to have a place to just talk.
Mm-hmm.
Because therapy's nice, but getting to expose other people to life with a system, life having DID, my thoughts and feelings about it, how my trauma affects me, like, telling other people about it has helped other people, and that in turn makes me feel good. Like, as selfish as that is, like, I've gotten DMs on Instagram like, your pod, like, literally I've only done 2 episodes so far, and both of them have been stupid. By the time this is out, there will be a 3rd episode out. That one will be a little less stupid.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
That one is a good one. They just watched me edit it.
You should watch it. It's good.
You should. It's, click the eye up in the corner. It should be right there.
Or there. I don't know which side it's going to be.
I think it should be this one, but we'll see. It's in one of the corners.
You know where to find it.
You know where to fucking find it. But it's, like, already, like, with the 2 episodes that are up right now, I've gotten people that are like, you've helped me realize that I'm not alone. You helped me feel more comfortable in the system. You have helped me, like someone got a diagnosis because they realized they related a lot to what I was talking about, and then they talked to their therapist, and they're working on a diagnosis right now, and that feels
cute.
Great.
Yeah.
Like, that feels so incredible, knowing
You're
that
helping
I help
your community.
People. Yeah, absolutely. And it's weird, because I wasn't even a part of this community a couple years ago. And can we take a break to talk about r/fake disorder cringe?
Oh, I hate that. That and 4chan.
Ugh. I've been posted on Fake Disorder Cringe, like, 5 times now, I want to say.
I hate people who fake claim other people. Like, you have no idea what's going on in another person's life. You are not them. You are only yourself. You literally cannot fathom what another human being is going through to have this disorder, and also what their life is like having that disorder. You cannot also tell through the internet. Either.
Yeah, through, like, edited video clips on TikTok, you can't tell if someone has DID or not. Are you a therapist? No. Okay.
Do you work with that person as their therapist? No.
I'm gonna take a wild guess and say, no. And, like, the videos of me and my system that have been posted on r/fake disorder cringe aren't even, like, they don't even have my face in them. They're, like, a fast-moving video of the altars, or a video that we recorded of a switch happening, or like we put music synced on top of a video of 2 altars switching, and people were like, you can't switch to music that fast, and I'm like, you don't know me, like, how do you know that?
Also, a lot of the research on DID and similar disorders, there's not a lot of good research. A lot of it's pretty heavily biased, and none of it is current. A lot of it is from, like, early 2000s and earlier.
Very outdated.
It's super outdated. And I know that there are people who are changing that, but, like, if you want to research this, definitely look into your sources further than just reading an article. Like, fact check what you're reading with 2 to 3 other sites to confirm information, or get, like, more points of view on a topic. Not just with this, but in general, media literacy is really important, and there's not enough, and it definitely impacts people with DID.
And also the people that think this way, that are like, you can't have more than 5 alters, you can't have more than 10 alters, those same people are the same people that believe it's still called multiple personality disorder, which it was renamed, like, a couple decades ago. Like, a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something new, it's not something the media made up. It's something that we're trying to put out into media more so that we can bring more attention to it and have people understand that we're not dangerous. We are human beings.
We're just people. We're just multiple people.
We are just multiple people trying to live. The likelihood of someone with DID being an abuser is about the same, if not less, than the normal average citizen. We're not dangerous. We have persecutors. They're misguided protectors. Like, their goal is to protect the system. And sure, they go about that by kind of, like, cutting people off and being assholes. And, like, they're not great at being protectors.
But that doesn't mean that they're violent.
But they're not violent or aggressive. And their end goal is protecting the system because we are victims of abuse as DID systems. That is what the disorder is. It stems from repetitive and or severe childhood trauma. That's what we are. And the disorder is our brains protecting us from that.
Yeah.
So the fact that people like to spin it around and be like, no, you're the abusers because you have DID really irks me. Because, again, the likelihood of us being an abuser is less likely than the average citizen. And the likelihood of having DID is statistically 1.5% of the entire population, which is a couple billion people, I want to say.
It's not a couple billion, it's a couple million.
Couple million. And that's just the people that are known, the people that are professionally diagnosed. And diagnosis is so fucking hard. I was misdiagnosed like 4 fucking times before I got here. And I still don't even know if this is the right disorder diagnosis. Like, it feels right, but so did OSDD and UDD and OSDD 1B and 1A. Like, all of them felt right at the time. And it's so hard to diagnose it. It took months to get to this diagnosis. It took months to get to the other diagnoses that ended up being wrong. And the fact that the internet likes to believe that it's just so linear, you go to your doctor, you give her your symptoms, she gives you this diagnosis, or they give you this diagnosis. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to explain it, but my favorite way of explaining how people are not faking DID is if somebody with a broken leg goes into the ER and goes, these are my symptoms, I have a broken leg. And the doctor goes, yeah, but your bone's not sticking out, so you must be fine, just go back home. That's kind of what it feels like. And then over and over, you're trying to prove this physical illness, this physical disability to other people. You wouldn't go up to somebody in a wheelchair if you're in your right mind and go, you don't need that, just walk. You wouldn't do that, even if they could walk, even if they're not like an ambulatory wheelchair user. You wouldn't do that. So why do we feel the need to go up to people in the internet and be like, you're faking your disorder because you don't have a paper? Do I need a paper? I don't.
A lot of the resources for this stuff is not very accessible to majority of the population that needs it the most.
That, and it's also just really outdated. Even, like, the professional information that we have is outdated.
It's outdated. It's hard to get the resources to it. And even if you have all of the resources, finding a professional who will actually work with you in an unbiased manner is also really hard.
Really, really hard.
It's not something that you could just do.
Right.
It's not something that you can do quickly either. It took you months. It takes other people years. Like, it's not something that can just happen overnight because you want it.
And I'm very privileged to have this diagnosis. It's again, it's not easy. It's a hard process. It took a lot of re-explaining my trauma and re-explaining my symptoms to a handful of different professionals saying, okay, but it might be this, so I got treated for that, and then that ended up not working. Okay, it might be this, get treated for that. Okay, that's not working. Okay, maybe you have this, but we're gonna diagnose you with the kind of the less so option. So the first ever diagnosis that I got was OSDD, other specified dissociative disorder, which I wasn't categorized into 1A or 1B yet. And then my second diagnosis was 1A, and then 1B, and then after that I went to a different therapist, and she was like, I'm gonna do unspecified dissociative disorder, UDD, and then after that I came to my current specialist who specializes in dissociative disorders. She's fantastic. She diagnosed me with complex dissociative identity disorder, which is where I'm at now, and that's what we're kind of working with now.
Right on.
Right on. Well, do you have any final thoughts before we conclude?
No.
No. Would anyone else like to say anything?
We all thank you for letting us come onto your podcast.
And we all welcome you to come on to a possible part 2, if so necessary.
Necessary or wanted by the audience.
Thank you super a lot for being here. You can find links to information about dissociative identity disorder in the description. You can find links to Petals of a Rose, the A System, a couple of my mutuals on TikTok who are also systems. You can find my Instagram and my TikTok down below, both of my Instagrams and my TikTok. If you want to plug anything, go for it.
I am writing a story with my friend Tori. It is a queer found family story about a bunch of teenagers in their senior year of high school. There's vampires, there's werewolves, there's werecats, there's monster hunters, there's closeted, traumatized young gay men figuring out they're gay and dealing with what that means for them. There's ace representation, there's arrow representation, there's non-binary representation, there's all sorts of queer rep and neurodivergent rep as well. We are gonna have lots of characters with all sorts of different things going on in their brain. One of our characters is gonna be part of a system. I'm writing that in. We've got some characters who have ADHD, some characters who are autistic, some characters who have both, some who are just pretty traumatized and otherwise fine, and some just perfectly normal people.
Normal.
You can find it at Some Semblance of Normal on Tumblr.com. We do also have an Instagram account by the same name. There's not a lot on it right now, so follow the Tumblr for updates, snippets from the story, art that we're making for the story, just whatever the vibe is. That's where you can find it, and we'll also put those links in the description for you guys to find.
Yes, we shall. Thank you guys super a lot for joining us on today's episode of the Ferret's Nest. I want to thank all of my 8 subscribers for potentially watching this, and I want to encourage you to reach out to systems that you might know, reach out to people, just learn more. Don't be afraid to learn more, don't be afraid to ask questions. My comment section is always open. In fact, I encourage you to ask questions if you want specifications or clarification on anything we said today. Right into the comments below. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for watching very much. I love you guys. Take care of yourself, drink some water.
Stay hydrated and stay warm this season.
Stay warm.